Was fascism more emotion than reason? If fascism is based in anti-rationality and anti-reason, does that mean it is both irrational and unreasonable? What kind of ideology is this? These and other questions will be answered right after this. I am Professor Jerome Arkenberg and the host of History Waits for No One. I've been teaching a wide variety of history courses at colleges across this country for the past 30 years. And in this episode, you'll learn about 1. Fascism and anti-reason, anti-rationality. Secondly, fascism's romantic nationalism. Thirdly, fascism's socioeconomic ideology. Fourthly, fascism's Hobbesian-Rousseauean totalitarianism. And fifthly and lastly, fascism's ideological, contradictory loves and hates, likes and dislikes. But first, make sure to click like, share, subscribe, and that little bell thingy so I can continue to bring you more great videos just like this one. Pinning down the ideological roots of fascism is nearly impossible, in part because it draws on so many sources, in part because it is simply meant to be so. That is, fascism, unlike nearly every other ideology, is not, I emphasize not, a logically organized, coherent, rationally based whole, because, stemming from the Romantic Revolt, it rejects the reason and rationality of the Enlightenment, instead embracing anti-reason and anti-rationality. It is not irrational nor unreasonable, but anti-rational, anti-reason. Yes, it's hard to wrap your mind around that. It embraces instead the key ideas of Romanticism: emotion, the will, violence and struggle, vigor and passion, while also embracing romantic nationalism, including the ideas of blood and race, and a charismatic leader not afraid to break the rules. All of which means fascism and fascists can hold and promote, and do promote and hold, contradictory ideas and programs, and effectively can embrace and promote different ideas to different people living in different parts of the world with different historical backgrounds, traditions, and customs. But when you come right down to it, essentially, fascism is a mixture of the social contract theories of Hobbes and Rousseau with a whole bunch of other stuff added into it. So, for example, what is it? It is based in hyper-nationalism. Secondly, racial exclusivity based on so-called blood. Third, social inequality and elitism. Fourth, discipline, manliness, and militarism. Fifth, subjectivism. Sixth, vitalism. Seventh, communitarianism. Not communism, not collectivity, but communitarianism, much like the Amish, the Mennonites, the Shakers, and other religious groups. Even perhaps you might say monasteries and nunneries, all working together in a common endeavor. 8. Traditionalism. 9th, xenophobia. 10th, heroic sacrifice and death. So if you're going to die, make it heroic and make it a sacrifice. for the whole country. 11th, patriarchy. 12th, populism. 13th, corporatism. 14th, private property. 15th, autarky, or economic self-sufficiency. At the same point, trying to pin down what fascism is against is equally difficult. For example, anti-Semitism, which some fascists like Hitler and the Nazis were all about, while others, like Mussolini, were not. But generally speaking, fascists were and are against: first, Marxist materialism, Marxism that is, socialism, and communism. Secondly, rationalism. Third, positivism. Fourth, liberal democracy, or any type of democracy. Fifth, anarchism. Sixth, individualism and nonconformity. Seventh, hedonistic consumerism. Eighth, cosmopolitanism. Ninth, modernism. And finally, 10th, not surprisingly, pacifism. Economically, fascism in general was all for, as I mentioned, private property and entrepreneurship. After all, it embraced social Darwinism. But it was, however, opposed to the decadence, the materialist consumerism, and hedonistic individualism, which comes from or with capitalism. And fascism opposed all this fervently as injurious to the nation as a whole. And hence, in conjunction with both owners and workers, it sought to regulate capitalism's excesses for the benefit of the whole nation. So it was not for laissez-faire capitalism. Maybe we'll call it reform liberalism, or at the most, democratic socialism, though remember, it's non-collective, non-Marxist. It's all about private property. If it's hard to make sense of it, that's okay. That's the whole point. Thus, fascism essentially embraced Owenism, the non-Marxist utopian socialism of the early 19th century Robert Owen, where the owners were given freedom to run their businesses as they pleased, but with an eye to the welfare of their workers and to the welfare of the nation as a whole. And if they couldn't do it on their own, this welfare to both the workers and the nation would be enforced where necessary by the state, the people. So a kind of socialism, not for the workers, but for the nation as a whole, that the latter might achieve its heroic destiny, key word, heroic destiny, two words I should say, of struggle, war, conquest, and empire. To which end, fascists, generally speaking, embrace a kind of monopolistic command economy, organizing businesses into divisions like the old medieval guilds, reducing competition within these divisions by favoring some companies over others, but also outlawing all labor unions or labor protest, ensuring that the owners made huge profits. And of course, the more loyal to the nation or necessary to the nation's destiny, the greater the profits of that owner or owners, while ensuring that the workers were paid a decent living wage with good work conditions and a variety of social and health benefits. Fascism synthesizes organic nationalism and anti-Marxist socialism while rejecting liberal democracy, free market capitalism, and Marxist capitalism, Marxist materialism. So, for example, the Nazi Party, National Socialism. They're not socialist like Marx or Lenin or Stalin. But they are nationalist. As I said, socialism for the owners and good benefits for the workers. For only a new kind of society which rejects individualism but embraces pre-modern group collectivity could ensure humanity's survival by integrating all classes of society into a nation, enjoying a moral unity which liberalism and Marxism could never, ever, they held, provide. This new type of civilization would be based on an idealistic civilization of knights and warriors, much like Nietzsche, warlike, virile, heroic, not at all hedonistic or individualistic, maybe more like the medieval paladins, the Templars, the Teutonic Knights, the Knights of the Sword, the Hospitallers. All the nation would be run by a self-conscious elite who are alone capable of leading the sheep-like masses. In this case, it would be the party, the various fascist or even the Nazi parties. Basic was the idea of man as both a social and political animal. So those without society lack freedom, meaning man exists fully only within the group, the community, the state. So you see all these pictures of all the Nazis and the soldiers all lined up right together. Not about individuality. We might say, oh, it is terrible. They're simply cogs in a machine. But the fascists would say, yes, they are cogs in the machine. And that is great. Embrace, each of you, of being a cog in the machine. Why? Because without all of you cogs, without even one individual cog, the machine, the nation, cannot work, cannot live, cannot survive, cannot function. Be a cog. Fascism envisions a nation achieved through, for example, torchlight parades, snazzy uniforms, a communal liturgy of heroic songs based on the cult of physical strength, violence and brutality, emblematic of a leader who embodies a nation's spirit, will, and virtue. No sphere of activity remains free of the control of the state as creator of all social, political, spiritual, and economic life. According to Mussolini, quote, "We control political forces. We control moral forces. We control economic forces and everything in the state. Nothing against the state. Nothing outside the state." So, fascism aimed for a classless state divided into corporations according to the function each performed in the social division of labor. Similar, as I said, to medieval guilds, applied to every aspect of society, in practice leading to organizations created, licensed, and controlled by the state. For example, the Hitler Youth or the Bund Deutscher Mädel. So, let me know what you liked about this video and what other historical topics or subjects you'd like to see in future videos. Be sure to click like, share, especially subscribe, as it will help me bring you more great videos just like this one. And don't forget to click on that little bell thingy so you'll know when the next History Waits for No One video is posted. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the past.